That's good. We don't need no negativity.
No.
You said something interesting, and I know a lot of people misunderstood it, so I want you to be able to say it. I think it was Details Magazine. You used the word God, and that's what messed everybody up. But you said something to the effect you were a self-made God. Explain it.
I made up my mind to make a change in my life when I was 16 years old. We are all gods on this planet, every man and every woman. We create life. We can take life. We control what goes into the sea, whether the fish can live or not. We decide if the trees can grow tall. We decide if the children will eat. We are very powerful beings on the planet Earth. And when I said a self-made God, I meant just what I said. Barry White changed his life. So you're right.
There's a reason why the most powerful people in the world spend billions of dollars on Hollywood movies, 24/7 news cycles, and all of the social media platforms that we have at our fingertips. It's not just about the money. It's about something more valuable, your imagination. Back in 1989, I was just a little boy that was getting a chance to stay up late to watch the Arsenio Hall show. The singer, Barry White, expressed his own realization that would burrow into my mind for decades to come. On this planet, we are all gods. I was way too young to understand what he was talking about at the time. But when I look back with a fresh perspective, I realized that I was witnessing something special. For the very first time that I could remember, someone revealed the biggest secret about how reality actually responds to us. Not just my reality, but yours too. You too are already operating through the creative power of God right now as you listen to me, but you probably may not be aware of why or what you're creating. By the time I picked up my very first Neville Goddard book decades later, it wasn't my first rodeo. It wasn't the first time I heard this concept, but it did remind me of that same interview that I saw when I was a little boy. As I scoured through all of these writings, Neville expressed over and over again that your imagination is actually God expressing itself through your own human experience. When you imagine, you're using the same creative power that God uses because your imagination is God. And that's an inconvenient truth in the eyes of a society that goes out of its way to hide that from you. We live in a brave new world surrounded by technology. And when you're scrolling through Instagram, binging on Netflix, getting caught up in every news headline that you read, it's all carefully designed, curated to paint a picture in your mind. They're feeding your imagination specific images, specific stories, specific realities. And do you know what comes next? You start living it. Your imagination gets hijacked to serve their desires, not your own. But when you take control of your own imagination, this is the bridge to getting the money that you want, getting the woman of your dreams, and living the life that you've seen others live. Even if you're already doing good, this is the bridge to becoming great. If you've been told that you have no say-so over how far you go in this lifetime or how high you can reach, then you come to the right place to put those lies to rest. You, sir, are the God of your own imagination and the ruler of your reality. But if you got how to use your own power, I'm going to remind you how. By the end of this episode, you'll have the knowledge to direct your imagination toward the life you actually want and not the one they're programming you to accept. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a basketball court, pristine and flawless. You can smell the hardwood floors as soon as you step onto them, how the wood panels gleam under the bright lights. But this isn't just some random old court. This is a court that's in a higher dimension where time and space have no impact on the game itself. The greatest basketball players who have ever lived get plucked from their timelines and transported to this court. The universal clock has been rewound to restore them to all their athletic primes. Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Dr. J, Pistol Pete Maravich, Bill Russell, Jerry West, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They're all present with every single ounce of talent and ability that they had at their peak. Everything is set. The game is ready to be played, and they have everything they need to play the game except one vital thing. The rule book. There's just one simple twist. When these legends were transported to the celestial court, their memories of how to play the game of basketball were wiped completely clean. They've never even heard of the game before, and it's time for tip-off. So what do you think will happen next when these champions start to play the game of basketball and they don't know how to play the game of basketball? And they can't leave that court until they became NBA champion caliber players again. Chaos, fighting, yelling, frustration. Some of them will start to make up their own rules. Despite having the most gifts and the most athletic ability that anybody has ever seen in this world, without knowing the rules, all they can create is confusion and chaos, which brings us right on back to our current reality and the realization that you've been playing the oldest game of them all, the game of life. We were all dropped into this world with the ability to design our reality through our powerful imaginations, but without the memories on how to do it. We either weren't given the rule book or we were given the right book with the wrong interpretations. Now, that powerful imagination that I spoke of is wide open to being programmed by whoever gets to it first. And that is why it's the best kept secret in this world. If you can control what people can imagine, you can control their reality. You've always held the power to create your life as you see fit. Now, if that statement makes you a little bit uncomfortable, rest easy. Before you continue, just ask yourself these simple questions. Who is thinking your thoughts other than you? Or better yet, do you actually want to believe that something else or somebody else is shaping your life but you? But every now and then, when I inform a new mind, a fresh mind that's open to consciousness that they are the God of their own life, I can almost catch a little glimpse of discomfort, that little twinkle in their eyes. But rest easy, my friend. You're not responsible for war and peace, world hunger, natural disasters, and every problem out there on the planet Earth. You're responsible for choosing which version of it that you get to experience. We're not creating stars and galaxies and new planets. We're simply choosing which of those infinite realities that already exist to experience. And your imagination is your GPS system, plotting out which reality you want to explore and which one you want to stay in once you arrive. And your subconscious mind is the vehicle that's going to get you there. But if someone else is holding that GPS, if someone else is holding the instructions for where you want to go, guess where you're going to end up? Where they want you to be, not where you want to be. This is why what you imagine becomes what you experience, but your friends, your family, your homeboys may always make an attempt to convince you that believing in that power of your imagination is childish, is wrong, or maybe that's the spiritual mumbo jumbo for the ladies to play around with. Not a man's man. Use your logic. Stop daydreaming. Be realistic. Man up. That's what you've been told, am I right? I know I've heard it. They train an entire generation of men to believe that using your imagination is a waste of time. But that's one of the biggest cons ever run because your imagination is literally your God power. And if you don't use it, you'll end up working for or under someone who does. I am one of the biggest advocates that you're going to find on the internet that tells you to read. And I'm big on it. And if you aren't, now is always the best time to get started. Once I got through my first set of books, I randomly landed on this one right here, one of my favorites, the Kybalion. I made a video about it a year ago, so check it out right above me if you haven't seen it already. Now, there are two principles that explain exactly how your power works. The first one is called the principle of mentalism. All is the mind. This means that the entire universe is mental in nature. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything you experience, it all started as a thought, as an idea, as something imagined and brought into the world for us to experience. Your imagination is not separate from reality. It is the creative force behind what you call reality. When you imagine something, you are literally using the same mental substance that creates worlds. The second principle is the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. Whatever you imagine within your mind mirrors what you'll see in your outer world. That's the mirror principle. That's everyone as you pushed out. You've heard these terms before. Your inner images don't just stay in your head. They ripple outward into the world for you to experience sooner or later. Think back to the time where you first went out on lake with your granddaddy, with your dad, with your uncle, whoever took you fishing before. Think of your imagination as that lake. And what you imagine is like tossing a stone into that body of water. The ripples spread out until they affect everything around you. That's the power of your thoughts and feelings. It's that rock creating those ripples. These two principles work together in tandem like Stockton and Malone, Montana and Rice. And when you control what you imagine, you are literally controlling the blueprint for what comes up next in your life. You get to decide. So decide. Instead of letting the machine decide what's next on the docket for you to experience, you do it. When you hold a mental picture in your mind and attach emotion to it, that is how you shape your tomorrow. That's why you always see me surrounded by plants. It's a mental picture for you too as well. It's no different than planting a seed. It's no different from these plants behind me. In the coming days, in the coming weeks, in the coming months, you will reap what you sow. Should you choose to accept it, your mission in this reality is to transform yourself from a reactive force to a proactive force. This is the reason for your existence. This is your ultimate purpose. This is the ultimate goal. This is the ultimate path to endless happiness. Doesn't that feel good just hearing that? Let me explain why. When you are the proactive force in your life, you are creating your own success. You are creating your own happiness, and you are the cause of your own fulfillment. This is the difference between those who achieve greatness and those who settle for average, mediocrity. This is what the Olympic athlete, the Olympic champion experiences when they win a gold medal after training and sacrificing for years. This is what the entrepreneur experiences when he makes his first $1 million after leaving his previous job behind, despite everyone telling him that it was the biggest mistake he made in his life. This is the feeling of being the cause, the creator, and the feeling of sharing your prosperity with everybody that you love. These examples, they saw their desired reality in their imagination before everyone else saw it in their reality. And if that's not godly, then tell me what is. But on the other side of that coin, when you are the reactive force, you are the effect, not the cause. You're the dependent, not the provider. You react to every single situation, every circumstance. You lose your temper. You say the wrong things when you lose that temper. You lose your focus. You lose your discipline at the drop of a hat when things don't go exactly the way that you think they should. This is what it's like to be reactive, and it's not fun. I know that can sting a little bit because it's easier to blame your boss, your ex, the economy, the president, the governor, the sheriff, everybody, any and everybody, anyone but yourself. But you can't play God and play victim at the same time. You can't claim the power to create your reality while simultaneously claiming you're powerless over your circumstances. If that describes the phase in your life that you're dealing with right now, listen up, listen closely. Every single situation that you're experiencing right now, your bank account, your relationships, your career, your health, is the effect of causes that you set in motion through your imagination in the past. Not through your actions alone, but through a belief system that you were gift wrapped to carry around in your mind. They are not your beliefs, and you can change them. The broke man assumes that he'll always struggle financially. The lonely man assumes that he's not worthy of love. The man with no ambition assumes that this is as good as life gets, and this can all be changed. To become the proactive force, you have to first agree. You have to first decide and assume that you are already the man that you desire to be. Not that you will be him, not that you are becoming him, but that you already are him. Whatever you want to attain in your life right now, or whatever you want to become, first imagine yourself being that man. Get out a pen and paper right quick and ask yourself these questions and write them down. What is he doing every day? Where is he living? What does he drive? How does he dress? And most importantly, how does he feel when he's doing all of these things? Write it all down on that paper and then decide right then and there that this is who you are. The next step is where you make your money. It's time to persist in this vision and this feeling as your subconscious mind moves all the pieces around the board to get you there. When you sustain that assumption, despite how circumstances look, despite what roadblocks appear in your everyday life, you activate your power to surf realities. As you persist with it in your imagination, it hardens, it crystallizes in the 3D world until you wake up one day and your assumption has become fact. This is how every single man gained notoriety, success, recognition, and wealth throughout history. This is how the runner-up becomes the champion. This is how the entry-level employee becomes a CEO. This is how the guy who got dumped wins the love of his life back. Once upon a time, I did a handful of those things. My clients as well, and you hold the exact same power. If you desire to be successful, imagine someone congratulating you on your new position. If you desire to be married, imagine a wedding band on your hand. If you desire to be fit, imagine your friends expressing that your new body transformation looks amazing. Any and every person who can materialize your assumption into fact will feel compelled to do just that, because every single manifestation comes through another human being. Their will and your will become one, and when you experience this, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. You will know what it's like to be the cause of your own fulfillment. That's how you do it for those of you who need the blueprint. But there's no difficulty in using your imagination to get a preview of the man that you're going to become using these Hermetic principles. But keep in mind that every failure contains the seed of success. Everything in this world has its opposite, and within every negative experience lies the blueprint for its positive counterpart. Because success is not always linear. When the contract falls through, when she says no, when the promotion goes to someone else, That's not the universe telling you no. That's the universe showing you exactly what you don't want so you can get crystal clear and precise with what you do want. Every single rejection curates your desire. Every minor setback prepares you for a major comeback. Every failure is actually feedback, redirecting you towards your intended outcome. I've had the privilege to work with hundreds of men since I began this channel last year, but there's a point where the resistance can get even the strongest mind. And it's right at the moment when the seed is about to sprout. They come to me and they tell me that they planted the assumption, they visualized the outcome, they felt it real, they felt it in their imagination. And then when reality doesn't immediately reflect what they imagine, they abandon the whole damn thing. They let one no convince them that the answer is always going to be no. They let one failed attempt convince them that they're not cut out for success. This is why you'll always hear me reminding you that you need to persist over and over again, because if everything was on easy mode, why would you have to persist? That's why I say it. The man who persists in his imagination understands something different about how reality works. He knows that every so-called failure is just his assumption being tested and refined like an algorithm trying to find you the best piece of content. He's not going to see setbacks as evidence that it's not working. He's going to see it as evidence that it is working, because his imagination is literally rearranging reality to match his assumptions. And sometimes that rearrangement can look messed up. It can look chaotic because it has to clear out all the old shit before it can install the new. This is why persistence in conscious manifestation is everything. As I always say though, you always hear me say this, the seed of your success is already planted in your last failure. But seeds don't grow overnight, my friend, and neither do your assumptions. The question isn't whether your imagination is working. The question is, will you persist long enough to see it work? But let's break it down in a more specific way for you to use your imagination to celebrate things a little bit more. Now, here's something most people get completely wrong when they start taking control of their own imagination, and it's costing them some valuable results. When you visualize receiving whatever it is that you desire in your thoughts, are you seeing yourself from the outside looking in, or are you experiencing it through your very own eyes? Most men that I coach make the mistake of imagining themselves like they're watching a movie. They see themselves getting the promotion. They see themselves with the woman. They see themselves living in that dream house, but they're watching it all happen to some other version of themselves. That is third-person Fortnite visualization, and it's exactly why most people rarely manifest anything significant starting out on this journey. But remember this is an inside job, and gods don't imagine themselves from the outside. Your imagination is meant to give you a teaser trailer of parallel timelines, parallel dimensions, but only through your own imaginary eyes. When you visualize in first person, through your own eyes, you're not just watching your life happen, you're living it, you're experiencing it. The subconscious believes it to be real as long as you do. You're not seeing yourself shake hands for the contract. You're feeling the firm handshake in your own imaginary hand. You're not observing yourself in your dream car. You're feeling the steering wheel in your grip and hearing the engine from inside the vehicle with your imaginary hearing. Now, it might be a stretch, and you don't have to believe me. You have to believe a word I'm saying in this entire episode, because it's time for you to prove it to yourself. I want you to pick something. Pick something that you had your mind set on. Find a chair or lie down just before bed. Take a couple deep breaths. Close those eyes. Once you're relaxed, I want you to visualize yourself already having this experience. Is it receiving an award? Is it an apology from someone you love? Or is it your phone in your hands as you see that deposit hit your account? Here's the key to the whole mechanism. Don't just see it, feel it. Not just your physical sense of touch, but the emotion of having it. Relief, satisfaction, joy. Name that feeling, claim that feeling. Whatever you're seeing is, see it through your own eyes. Touch it with your own imaginary hands. Hear it with your own imaginary ears. Repeat this scene as many times as you want to, as many times as you need to, until you feel a sense of relief in your chest and in your stomach. The same feeling you get when you push back from the table after a good home-cooked meal. That's the feeling of satisfaction. That's the feeling of having received what you wanted, and the subconscious will begin to oblige. When you feel that satisfaction, open your eyes and simply say thank you. Now, go out there in the world. Go out there and use this power to your best benefit and prove it to yourself. When you create an experience in your mind's eye and it shows up in your reality, you'll become walking, breathing, living proof that this law works. This is how God imagines, from the inside out, not the outside in. And when you align your imagination with the algorithm of life, you become the main character of this movie. That's when your assumptions stop being distant dreams and start becoming inevitable realities. So the bottom line to all of this entire episode, to wrap it up and put a nice little bow on it, you have the rule book and the playbook now that those basketball legends didn't get, courtesy of Coach Shaun. You understand that your imagination isn't some childhood fantasy now. It's the most powerful creative force in your possession. While everyone else out there is letting Netflix, Instagram, and the news program their reality, you can constantly choose what you get to experience next. The question isn't whether this works. The question is whether you'll see it through, whether you'll use it. Every single successful man who came before you figured this out. They stopped being the effect of their circumstances and became the cause of their own success. But look, you can pay me no damn mind and go on back to scrolling through your phone, letting the algorithm decide what you think about, what you get to worry about, and what you should want out of life. Or you can lock into what Barry White knew back in 1989 and what I'm telling you right here in 2025, that you are already operating with the creative power of God. You just forgot how to use it. If this lesson shifted something in your mind, I know it did, then you're ready for what comes next. Inside my Universe program, we go deeper. This is where I show you how to completely reprogram your subconscious mind. If that sounds like something you're ready for, and if you made it to the end of this video, you're ready. Click the link in the pinned comment down below, or just stay here and watch one of my next videos that I'm going to flash on the screen. I am Shaun, and you are neither here nor there. Thank you for sharing your time and space with me.